really surprisingly emotional. Like, it made me tear up. I was shocked. I'm like, what the hell? Why am I crying? Popular. We know about Popular, and we have thoughts on Wicked. This is the musical extravaganza of the stage show, the Juggernaut stage show, based on a book that apparently a lot of you guys have read and feel very strongly about. There are feelings about Wicked in the world. This is a non-spoiler review of Wicked. There are definitely some things that happen in this movie that are exciting that we don't want to ruin for you. So, FYI, we're going to try to keep it as fresh for you as possible. Fresh as Glinda coming down in her little sparkly pink bubble into Munchkin Land.
Come with me. What? To meet the wizard.
Why couldn't possibly? This is your moment. I'm coming.
So yes, no spoilers for a prequel, but basically, this movie, it kicks off with the death of the Wicked Witch of the West, as seen in 1939's The Wizard of Oz, and before that, of course, in the novels by Frank Baum. But what really went down? Who's really the bad guy? That's what we're exploring here in this musical that is the first of two parts. You're not seeing the words part one on a single poster out there, but they sure do pop up in the title card. So yeah, we are taken back to the childhood of Elphaba. Yes, the Wicked Witch of the West had a name, and she was born green after her mother had a dalliance, and so she grew up unloved by her father and ostracized by other people because of the color of her skin, but she developed powers through her rage. She's kind of a Carrie. In the Stephen King sense, she can, if she get her mad enough, and she will move stuff with her mind, then you don't want to be there when it happens. So she's dropping her younger sister off at school at Shiz University, and her father's like, make sure she gets into her room okay. And while she's sort of observing what's going on, she loses her temper, has a big telekinetic freak out, and the school's magic instructor, played by Michelle Yeoh, is like, I want to give you a scholarship. And so she starts attending there as well, winds up rooming with a pretty popular mean girl, Glinda, played by Ariana Grande. They immediately despise each other, but grow to a certain detente and even friendship between the two of them. And then, of course, things get complicated once they're off to see the wizard.
And you did not love this.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. And I was interested in it. Like, I mean, God knows the marketing juggernaut has been inescapable. I never saw the Broadway show. I never read the novel by Gregory Maguire. I have a vague outline of what this stuff is. I've seen Kristen Chenoweth in concert, so I've seen her perform, some of these songs. And I know that without Idina Menzel belting Defying Gravity, we would never have had Idina Menzel belting Let It Go. So I get the importance of Wicked in the pop culture landscape. But I found this movie just kind of not engaging. The costumes are great. There's a lot of craft going on here with the sets and a lot of the sort of digital, gimmickry that's going on to kind of bring this magical world alive. But I just never got on board the plot. I never really cared that much about the characters because it's a prequel, you sort of know where it's all going. So everything we're going to get is kind of little waysides and did you know, and here's what actually, along the way. And there's a way to make that compelling, but this movie just didn't do that for me. I'm not in love with the songs. There's the two big ones that everybody knows, and they both appear in the first half of the show, apparently. So part two, I bet, is going to be Reprise Central. We'll cross that rainbow bridge when we get there. But yeah, I like Cynthia Erivo a lot. She's really giving it both as an actress and as a singer. Ariana Grande has some real comic chops. I don't know how much of her performance is based on what Chenoweth originally did on Broadway, but I mean, she's making it work for the big screen. There are times when she sings that I don't understand what she's saying. Like, she has a whole big opening number when Glinda first appears where literally I was like, my God, my kingdom for a consonant. It was all like, it was all vowel, and I didn't know what was being said.
And we were in the Dolby Theater. We were in the big, shiny Dolby Theater with the reclining seats and all that.
Yes. So like the sound, should have been like really on point. There's a certain kind of fakey gloss to contemporary musicals that often I find kind of off-putting, and like, like it can work. Like I liked Wonka pretty well, and I liked, you know, The Color Purple. Like there've been some good recent examples, but there was something about this one that I just found kind of soulless. Unfortunately, it was either all way too bright or like too inky, shadowy, and I just didn't connect with it. I'll tell you this: I got an early screening of Better Man, the upcoming Robbie Williams biopic, where, you know, Robbie Williams is played by a chimp throughout the whole thing, and it's not perfect, and I have some mixed feelings about that one as well. But that movie has one musical number that literally made the hair stand up on my head. I was so like just thrilled by it, and it's very CG heavy, and it's very a lot of sort of trickery involved, but it has such a dynamism to the choreography and to the way that the music is used that I found thrilling. And I didn't have a single moment like that watching Wicked.
So you like the monkey, but not the flying monkeys.
There you go. Boom.
That is what you're saying. So I was super into this for a lot of the time. I thought it was dazzling. It's what Jon M does so well in those big numbers, whether it's the big Emerald City number or the big Munchkinland number, or there is a scene in a dance club they go to that is, it's a lot of fun for a while, and then it changes tone. It becomes very intimate and very emotional in a wordless way that I found really surprisingly emotional. Like it made me tear up. I was shocked. I'm like, what the hell? Why am I crying? People were warning me, bring tissues. I'm like, not me, girl. I got this. Like I've seen the musical. I know what happens. I'm like, wow, that was beautiful. And a lot of that has to do with just the connection between Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. And you really feel that bond in that moment, like the intensity of the way that they lock eyes and they finally really see each other is so meaningful. And you need that to be the foundation of this story, because if that friendship doesn't feel substantial, then what are we here for, and who are we rooting for, and why do we care? So I totally bought their friendship, and a lot of these moments were dazzling. I think Jon M bread and butter, you know, from the Step Up movies to In the Heights. Like I think these big splashy musical numbers are where he really excels. The big Jonathan Bailey number in the library at the school is really cool.
That's some fun choreography.
Like the rotating, it's like a telescope, and like the rotating books and the ladders, like all of that is really fun. And when it's lively and just playing with color and lighting, like I thought it was lighted beautifully. Like there's in Popular, when she's really coming into her own, it becomes like a really intense hot pink, like that I thought was emotional. The way that the dance club thing is lighted, it's like dark but with kind of an iridescent rainbow sheen to it that's really cool. So I thought it looked great. Production design is Christopher Nolan's longtime production designer. The costume design I thought was exquisite. Like everything Ariana Grande wears, every little pink poofy thing, and then the variations that they find with Cynthia Erivo's costumes as well, as far as like different kinds of black, different kinds of green, the detail on just like the nails. I mean, everything was great. But it also has to address these very heavy authoritarian themes, which I had forgotten from seeing the show 20 years ago on Broadway. I guess they're in that as well. I went back and I reread all about the show. The themes of like suppressing certain minority groups and putting them in cages and like trying to keep them from speaking. All that is in there.
Fomenting fear among the populace to make them easier to control. Right.
The wizard being like, we knew this from Wizard of Oz, that he's a total like huckster, you know, con artist huckster. He's all bloviating and literal smoke and mirrors and then not, you know, actually a man of any kind of substance or integrity. So we knew that, you know, and Jeff Goldblum is kind of, you know, deliciously evil in his couple of scenes there as the wizard. But I feel like tonally, the swings between the razzle dazzle and the heavy, you know, moments of like messaging here, those were awkward for me.
Yeah, it kind of swings from like being the Mean Girls musical to being Cabaret, and it's like I don't know that it really necessarily does that gracefully. Yeah, I mean, look, I agree with you. I think, for example, that intimate moment in the dance club does work, and it is because it's those two performers connecting with each other and saying so much in a wordless way, you know. And I think if there had been more things like that didn't just feel so overblown and like pitched to the rafters. And you know, I think that this is going to be the kind of musical adaptation where if you walk in already a fan, if you love this material, if you love the show, you love the cast album, whatever, then this is going to be a big sort of swirling souvenir for you of all the things you love, but like writ large, and with all the right kind of candy colored stuff, and great. And I don't begrudge anybody that enjoyment, but as somebody walking in cold, they did not bring me into the material in a way that I found thrilling. And there are a lot of people who are going to be walking into this movie cold. I mean, only so many people go to Broadway, even for the show that's been running for decades. Only so many people go to see the touring shows. I'm sure a lot of people know this stage material, but not everybody's gonna. And I don't know what those folks' experiences are going to be, but I can only speak for mine. And mine was didn't love it.
Yeah, I thought they were both great. And Cynthia Erivo has this thing, like there's such a directness about her, and like there's so much emotion she can convey just through her eyes.
Yeah,
that really worked a lot, and you felt her pain, and you felt her strength, and you felt her confusion and her questioning her purpose here. And then Ariana Grande, yeah, she's doing a lot of what Kristen Chenoweth did on the stage production of it, but she's got to ride that line between being totally obnoxiously conceited and also like kind of adorably dorky. Like there's like a jerky kind of perkiness about her that like makes her human. And it's like she's not perfect all the time because she's kind of a dork, like a try hard. And I like that balance she found, and she's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, like she's playing somebody who is constantly having to put on this facade and this this sort of bubbly exterior, and Erivo is giving you somebody who has learned to sort of silently bear like all this stuff that's been heaped on her entire life, this sort of scorn and ridicule and suspicion, whether it's from her dad or from just other kids or whatever. And so I think the two of them are fine, and they bring what they're supposed to bring to the characters. But I just think I found the movie just so like kind of glossy and empty, and it dragged a lot in places. And I love a musical. I was on board for this, and it just wasn't delivering to me anything that I could come away with.
Did you know that Jonathan Bailey had that kind of musical theater background? I did not know that. I know him from Bridgerton and Fellow Travelers. But like he played Gavroche in the West End in Les Miserables when he was 8. Like he has his whole musical theater background. I had no idea. So that was kind of cool to see him thrive in that kind of way.
If you're British, I just assume you can do it all. American voices, song and dance, whatever,
He's
they've
so
all
good. God, he's charming as hell. And like he's asked to do tough stuff, like with the dancing and the singing.
He's a little. I didn't entirely buy him as a college student, but I just sort
he's
of like
35, 36.
I went with it. I went with it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think people, as you say, people who love this are going to love it. And it swells to a big emotional crescendo. And yes, it is part 1. I did know it was part 1 because I read Kyle Buchanan's interview with Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. So I did know that, but
I had heard that as well. But mind you, so we're going to wind up with about 5+ hours of movie based on a Broadway show that runs 2.5. Under 3, let's say.
Yeah, it ends where the intermission break is. So anyway, part 2 comes out in exactly a year.
Okay,
so we'll see it then. But
meet us back here and we'll talk about that.
We're back here in a year, yeah. So I will say, I'm going to say like a 7.8. Because I think it's great. A lot of it is really great in terms of being a spectacle, but it's just kind of awkward tonally.
I'm a 5.8 in that I'm going to acknowledge the 2 lead performances and the craft of it, but I just don't think as a movie it holds together, or I don't know. It didn't thrill me, and it didn't move me, and it didn't sort of bring me into this world in a way that I wanted more of it.
You were not defying gravity. Ha ha!
No, I was landing hard.
All right, we'll see you back here in a year. Let us know what you think about Wicked. Thanks.